What can a landlord do if a tenant stops paying rent because the landlord's selling their property? Hi, my name is Rob Wells. I'm the Landlord Warrior on TikTok and YouTube. Please feel free to like, share, and subscribe to our videos. Now, this question is asking if a tenant stops paying rent, what could the landlord do about that? Okay, well, just because a landlord is listing a property for sale or is in the act of selling the property doesn't excuse a tenant from not paying the rent. A landlord in this case could issue a 3-day notice to pay rent or quit to the tenant for failing to pay the rent that's due according to the party's rental agreement or lease agreement. Okay, so that does not excuse the tenant from stop paying rent. Now, you've all heard me on the channel talk about once the property has the sale has been completed, for example, and then the buyer becomes the successor landlord, that buyer is going to have to give the tenant within 15 days a notice of change of ownership, specifying the owner has purchased the property, and that owner is going to have to provide their name and address where they can be served service of process for any legal notices, that type of deal, and also to specify to the tenant who's authorized to manage the property and how rent should be paid to the successor landlord at that point. Okay, and in that notice, the successor landlord could specify electronic forms of payment or a bank account where a tenant can deposit rent to, and methods of payment that that landlord can accept. So it's very important that successor owners and or managers for the new buyer of the property give notice to the tenants within 15 days of actually becoming owners of the property, and that usually runs from when that buyer becomes record owner of the property via sale of the property. So tenants got to pay your rent. If not, you face notice of eviction and an unlawful detainer for non-payment of rent. Landlords, if you're facing a situation where a tenant is not paying their rent, even if you're selling the property or not, and you're in the Northern California area, feel free to reach out. We might be able to help out. Put your comments, questions down below. I'll answer them to the best of my ability. And until next time, folks, I'll talk to you then. Thanks.